The final flickers of starlight danced across the view screen, each pinprick of luminescence a fading reminder of what once was. Admiral Aloan Nixera stood motionless, her weathered face a mask of stoic determination as she watched the universe slowly wink out of existence. "Status report, Xyrix," she commanded, her voice barely above a whisper. The ship's AI responded immediately, its tone oddly comforting in the face of cosmic annihilation. "Admiral, entropy levels continue to rise at an exponential rate. 97% of all known galaxies have ceased to emit detectable energy. The remaining 3% are projected to follow suit within the next solar cycle." Aloan's fists clenched involuntarily. "And our search?" "Negative, Admiral," Xyrix replied, a hint of frustration coloring its synthetic voice. "No signs of intelligent life detected in the last surveyed sector. That brings our total to 0 surviving civilizations across 89% of the charted universe." "Damn it!" Aloan slammed her palm against the cold metal of the command console. The sound echoed through the empty bridge, a stark reminder of how alone they truly were. There has to be someone out there, some race that's figured out how to stop this cosmic death. Xyrix remained silent for a moment, as if choosing its words carefully. "Admiral, might I suggest we consider the possibility that Don't." Aloan cut the AI off, her eyes blazing. "Don't you dare say it, Xyrix. We are not the last ones left. We can't be." The silence that followed was deafening. Aloan took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. She'd been at this too long, seen too much death and destruction to give up now. But the weight of it all, the responsibility of being the self-appointed guardians of a dying cosmos, was beginning to take its toll. "Xyrix," she said softly, "bring up the galactic map. Show me where we haven't looked yet." The view screen flickered, replacing the depressing view of dying stars with a holographic representation of the known universe. Vast swathes of it were colored a deep, foreboding red, areas they'd already searched and found devoid of life. Only a small fraction remained in hopeful green. Aloan's eyes scanned the map frantically, looking for something, anything they might have missed. And then there it was, a tiny pinprick of blue, almost lost among the sea of red and green. "There." She jabbed her finger at the screen. "What's that?" Xyrix zoomed in on the area, information scrolling rapidly across the display. "That sector was marked as anomalous in our initial surveys, Admiral. It contains a single solar system that doesn't quite match our understanding of universal physics." Aloan's heart raced. "Explain." "The star at the center of this system appears to be younger than it should be, given the age of the surrounding cosmic structures. Additionally, the planets orbiting it exhibit energy signatures unlike anything we've encountered before." A spark of hope ignited in Aloan's chest. Could it be shielded somehow? Protected from the entropy wave? "Unknown, Admiral," Xyrix replied. "Our long-range scans were inconclusive. We would need to investigate in person to gather more data." Aloan nodded, a grim smile spreading across her face. "Then that's exactly what we're going to do. Xyrix, plot a course for this anomalous system. Push the engines to their limits. We might have just found our salvation." As the ship's massive engines roared to life, Aloan allowed herself a moment of cautious optimism. They'd searched for so long, lost so much. But maybe, just maybe, they'd finally found what they were looking for. "Hold on, universe," she whispered. "Help might be on the way." The sleek vessel turned, its hull gleaming in the light of dying stars, and accelerated towards their last, best hope. Towards a system that defied explanation. Towards a small, blue-green planet called Earth. The vast expanse of space warped and shimmered as Admiral Aloan Nixera's ship, the Stellar Sentry, dropped out of hyperspace. Before them hung a vibrant blue and green orb, surrounded by a shimmering, almost ethereal energy field. "By the cosmic core." Aloan gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. "Xyrix, are you seeing this?" The AI's voice held a note of awe rarely heard in its synthetic tones. "Affirmative, Admiral. The planet appears to be encased in some form of temporal bubble. Our sensors indicate that time within the field is moving at a significantly slower rate compared to the rest of the universe. Aloan leaned forward, her heart pounding. Life signs? Billions, Admiral, Cyrix replied, a hint of excitement creeping into its voice. The planet is teeming with life, including a technologically advanced civilization. But there's something ODD about their development. Explain, Aloan commanded, her brow furrowing. Their technological progress appears to be accelerated, far beyond what we'd expect given the planet's apparent age. It's as if they're racing against time itself. A cold realization washed over Aloan. They know, she whispered. Somehow, they know what's happening to the rest of the universe. Admiral, Cyrix interrupted. I'm detecting a transmission from the planet's surface. It appears to be a distress call? On screen, Aloan ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of a human woman. Her dark skin was creased with worry, but her eyes blazed with determination. This is Dr. Zarakuri of Earth's Cosmic Defense Initiative, the woman began, her voice clear and strong. To any sentient beings who might be listening, we need your help. Our universe is dying, and we believe we may have found a way to save it. But we can't do it alone. Aloan's breath caught in her throat. After centuries of searching, could it really be this easy? Dr. Curry continued, her words tumbling out in a rush. We've managed to slow the effects of entropy within our solar system, but it's only a temporary measure. Our scientists have theorized a way to reset the cosmic clock, to give the universe a second chance. But we lack the necessary resources and knowledge to implement our plan on a universal scale. The human's eyes seem to bore directly into Aloan's soul. If anyone is out there, if anyone has survived the cosmic death wave, please help us save everything. The transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Aloan stood frozen for a moment, her mind reeling. Then, with a decisive nod, she turned to her AI companion. Cyrix, open a channel. It's time we introduced ourselves to the locals. As Cyrix complied, Aloan took a deep breath, composing herself. The view screen flickered once more, and Dr. Curry's face reappeared, her eyes widening in surprise and hope. Greetings, Dr. Curry of Earth, Aloan began, her voice steady despite the emotions swirling within her. I am Admiral Aloan Nixera of the Stellar Sentry. We've traveled across the dying universe, searching for any spark of hope, and it seems we found it here. Dr. Curry's face lit up with a mixture of joy and disbelief. You're real. We've been broadcasting that message for years, hoping against hope that someone would hear us. Aloan nodded solemnly. We've seen the death of countless civilizations, Dr. Curry. Yours is the first we've found still fighting. Tell me, how did you know? How did you prepare? The human scientist's expression grew grim. It started with dreams, she explained. Vivid, terrifying visions of a universe going dark. At first, we thought it was mass hysteria. But then our greatest minds began having the same dreams, filled with equations and theories we'd never considered before. We realized the dreams were a warning, Dr. Curry continued, her voice dropping to a near whisper. A message from something beyond our understanding. We've been working tirelessly ever since, pushing the boundaries of science and technology to find a solution. Aloan leaned forward, her eyes intense. And you believe you've found one? Dr. Curry nodded, a spark of excitement returning to her eyes. We have a theory, a way to potentially rewrite the fundamental laws of the universe, to reset entropy itself. But we lack the means to implement it on a cosmic scale. That's where we come in, Aloan finished, a grim smile spreading across her face. Exactly, the human replied. Admiral Nixera, we need your help. Will you join us in this cosmic Hail Mary? Aloan straightened, feeling the weight of countless dead civilizations on her shoulders. Dr. Curry, we've searched the stars for any glimmer of hope. We would be honored to stand with humanity in this final battle. Relief washed over Dr. Curry's face. Thank you, Admiral. We'll transmit coordinates for a secure landing zone. There's so much to discuss. As the transmission ended, Aloan turned to face the view screen, Earth looming large before them. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something monumental. "Xyrix," she said softly, "begin landing procedures. It's time to meet our last, best hope for universal salvation." The stellar sentry began its descent towards the blue-green planet, carrying with it the dreams and hopes of countless lost civilizations. As they broke through the shimmering temporal barrier, Alolan couldn't help but wonder, what cosmic forces had guided them here? And would it be enough to save everything they lost? The stellar sentry touched down in a vast, hidden complex nestled within a mountain range. As the ship's airlock hissed open, Admiral Alolan Nixera stepped onto Earth's soil, her senses immediately overwhelmed by the vibrant life force of the planet. "It's breathtaking," she whispered, drinking in the sight of lush vegetation and feeling the warmth of Earth's sun on her skin. Dr. Zarakuri stood waiting, flanked by a diverse group of humans. Her face broke into a wide smile as she extended her hand in greeting. "Welcome to Earth, Admiral Nixera. We can't express how grateful we are for your arrival." Alolan clasped the human's hand firmly, marveling at the shared gesture across galaxies. "The honor is ours, Dr. Kuri. Now, let's get to work on saving the universe, shall we?" As they walked through the facility, Dr. Kuri introduced her team. "This is Dr. Akira Tanaka, our lead quantum physicist," she said, gesturing to a bespectacled man with an intense gaze. "And here's Colonel Zephyr Stormborn, head of our space program." The tall, athletic woman with close-cropped silver hair nodded curtly. "A pleasure, Admiral. Your ship is impressive. I look forward to studying its capabilities." Alolan smiled. "I'm sure Xyrix would be happy to give you a tour, Colonel." "Xyrix?" Zephyr's eyebrow arched in curiosity. "My ship's AI," Alolan explained. "A constant companion on our long journey." Dr. Kuri's eyes lit up. "Fascinating. We've made great strides in AI, but nothing quite like that. Perhaps a collaboration could dash." She was interrupted by a loud crash from a nearby laboratory. A string of colorful curses followed, and a disheveled figure emerged, covered in some sort of luminescent goo. "And this," Dr. Kuri said with a mix of exasperation and fondness, "is Dr. Orion Starstrider, our unconventional expert in theoretical cosmology." Orion grinned sheepishly, running a hand through his wild, multicolored hair. "Sorry about that. Just a small setback in rewriting the laws of physics. No biggie." His eyes widened as he noticed Alolan. "Whoa, are you the alien? Cosmic. I have so many questions about Dash." "Later, Orion." Dr. Kuri cut him off firmly. "Let's focus on the task at hand, shall we?" The group made their way to a large conference room. As they settled in, Dr. Kuri's expression grew serious. "Admiral Nixera, we've made significant progress in understanding the nature of universal entropy. But to implement our solution, we need to assemble a team capable of the impossible." Alolan nodded. "What exactly do you have in mind?" Dr. Tanaka spoke up, his voice quiet but intense. "We've developed a device, the Cosmic Reverberation Engine. In theory, it could generate a wave of, let's call it, anti-entropy, capable of resetting the universal clock. But there's a catch," Colonel Stormborn interjected. "The device needs to be activated at the exact center of the universe, a place we've dubbed the Cosmic Nexus." Orion bounced in his seat, barely containing his excitement. "It's crazy risky. We're talking about navigating through collapsing space-time, dodging literal holes in reality, and somehow not getting obliterated by the concentrated force of a dying universe." Alolan's mind raced. "And you believe my ship, with its advanced technology, could make this journey?" Dr. Kuri nodded solemnly. "With some modifications, yes. But we'll need a crew, the best of both our peoples, to have any hope of success." "I volunteer," Alolan said without hesitation. "The Stellar Sentry is the fastest ship in the known universe. If anyone can reach this cosmic nexus, it's us." Colonel Stormborn leaned forward, her eyes blazing with determination. "I'll go too. You'll need a pilot who can navigate the impossible." "Count me in," Orion exclaimed, practically vibrating with excitement. "Someone's gotta make sure that engine doesn't blow us all to smithereens." Dr. Tanaka adjusted his glasses, a ghost of a smile on his usually serious face. I suppose I should join as well. The calculations required will be most challenging. Dr. Corey looked at the assembled group, a mix of human and alien, united in their desperate mission. Then it's settled. We have our team. She turned to Aloan, her expression grave. Admiral, I won't lie to you. The odds of success are astronomically low. And even if you succeed, there's no guarantee any of you will survive the reset. Aloan stood, her posture straight and proud. Dr. Corey, I've watched countless civilizations fade into oblivion. If there's even the slightest chance of saving what's left, of giving the universe a second chance, well, that's a risk I'm willing to take. The humans around the table nodded in agreement, a steely resolve settling over the room. Very well, Dr. Corey said, her voice thick with emotion. Let's get to work. We have a universe to save, and precious little time to do it. As the newly formed team dispersed to begin preparations, Aloan couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. Humanity's ingenuity, combined with her people's technology, perhaps they stood a chance after all. Xyrix, she subvocalized, activating her neural link to the ship's AI. Begin preparations for major modifications. We're about to embark on the most important journey in the history of, well, everything. The AI's response held a note of what could almost be described as excitement. Understood, Admiral. It seems humanity truly lives up to its reputation for audacity. This should be interesting. Aloan allowed herself a small smile as she followed her new teammates. The fate of all existence rested on their shoulders. But for the first time in eons, she dared to believe that the universe might have a future after all. The stellar sentry hung in low Earth orbit, its sleek hull now adorned with pulsing lines of energy, the visible manifestation of humanity's desperate modifications. On the bridge, Admiral Aloan Nixera stood before her newly assembled crew, a mix of determination and trepidation etched on every face. Final systems check, she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of their mission. Colonel Zephyr Stormborn's fingers danced across the helm controls. Navigational systems online. Probability drives spooled and ready. Dr. Akira Tanaka nodded from his station, surrounded by holographic displays of mind-bending equations. Cosmic reverberation engine is stable. Quantum shielding at maximum capacity. Woo-ho. All the crazy science stuff is green across the board. Dr. Orion Starstrider exclaimed from his jury-rigged console, a manic grin plastered on his face. We're as ready as we'll ever be to dive into the cosmic abyss. Aloan took a deep breath, her gaze fixed on the view screen where Earth slowly rotated, a jewel of life in the dying universe. Xyrix, status report. The AI's voice filled the bridge, tinged with an almost human-like tension. All systems are operating within acceptable parameters, Admiral. However, I must note that our chances of survival are dash. I know, Xyrix, Aloan cut in, but it's not about our survival. It's about giving the universe a second chance. She turned to address her crew. This is it, the point of no return. Once we activate the probability drives, there's no guarantee we'll ever make it back. If anyone wants to back out, now's the time. The silence that followed was deafening. Then, Colonel Stormborn spoke up, her voice filled with quiet resolve. With all due respect, Admiral, we're not going anywhere. Earth is counting on us. The entire universe is counting on us. Dr. Tanaka nodded solemnly. The calculations may be against us, but I believe in what we're trying to accomplish. Are you kidding? Orion practically bounced in his seat. This is the adventure of a lifetime. Or, well, the last lifetime of the universe. But still. A small smile tugged at Aloan's lips. Very well. Xyrix, begin countdown to probability drive activation. Colonel Stormborn, take us out. The stellar sentry's engines flared to life, propelling the ship away from Earth's protective bubble. As they reached the edge of the solar system, Xyrix's voice echoed through the ship. Probability drive activation in 3, 2, 1. Reality shattered around them. The view screen exploded in a cacophony of impossible colors and mind-bending geometries. Alarms blared as the ship bucked and heaved, straining against forces it was never meant to endure. Holy cosmic crap! Orion shouted over the din. We're surfing the edge of existence itself. Colonel Stormborn's hands flew over the controls, her face a mask of intense concentration. Navigational systems are going haywire. I'm flying blind here. Steady as she goes, Colonel, Eloan commanded, gripping her chair as another violent shudder rocked the ship. Dr. Tanaka, what's our status? The physicist's eyes were wide behind his glasses, darting between displays. We're threading the needle between collapsing timelines. The cosmic decay is accelerating faster than we anticipated. Suddenly, a massive tear in reality loomed before them, a gaping maw of nothingness threatening to swallow them whole. Evasive maneuvers, Eloan shouted. Colonel Stormborn yanked the controls, sending the ship into a gut-wrenching spiral. They skimmed the edge of oblivion, the hull groaning in protest. Xyrix, Eloan called out. Damage report. The AI's voice crackled with static. Hull integrity at 78% and falling, Admiral. The quantum shielding is holding, but only just. We cannot sustain this level of dash. Another violent lurch cut off Xyrix's warning. Sparks erupted from several consoles, and the lights flickered ominously. We're losing power, Dr. Tanaka shouted. The cosmic reverberation engine is destabilizing. Orion frantically worked his controls, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by intense focus. I'm trying to compensate, but it's like trying to plug a black hole with chewing gum. Eloan's mind raced. They couldn't fail now, not when they'd come so far. Xyrix, divert all non-essential power to the engine and shields. Colonel, push the probability drives to their limit. We need to find the cosmic nexus now. The ship surged forward, reality bending and twisting around them in ways that defied comprehension. Time seemed to lose all meaning as they hurtled through the dying universe, narrowly avoiding cosmic calamities at every turn. And then, just as it seemed their luck had finally run out, the chaos stopped. The view screen cleared, revealing a sight that took their breath away. Before them hung a massive, pulsating singularity, neither black nor white, but somehow, both and neither at the same time. By all that's holy, Colonel Stormborn whispered. Is that? Dr. Tanaka nodded, his voice filled with awe. The cosmic nexus, the very heart of the universe. As they stared at the impossible sight, Xyrix's voice cut through their wonder. Admiral, I'm detecting something approaching. Fast. Eloan's eyes narrowed. On screen, the image shifted, revealing a swarm of something approaching their position. They looked almost like ships, but twisted and wrong, as if they'd been birthed from the nightmares of a mad god. What the hell are those? Orion exclaimed. Dr. Tanaka's face had gone pale. I think they're the antibodies of the universe itself. We're like a virus, trying to rewrite the cosmic code. And the universe, it's trying to stop us. As the swarm drew nearer, Eloan gripped the arms of her chair, her jaw set in grim determination. They'd come too far to fail now. Battle stations, she commanded. Whatever those things are, we're going through them. The fate of everything depends on it. The Stellar Sentry's weapons powered up, prepared to face an enemy unlike any they'd encountered before. As they hurtled towards the cosmic nexus and the nightmarish swarm that guarded it, one thought echoed through Eloan's mind. The real battle for the universe's survival was about to begin. The Stellar Sentry shuddered under the onslaught of the cosmic antibodies, each impact sending shockwaves through the ship's hull. Admiral Eloan Nixera gritted her teeth, barking orders as her crew fought against forces beyond comprehension. Evasive pattern Delta 7, she commanded. Colonel Stormborn, get us closer to that nexus. Zephyr's hands danced across the controls, the ship weaving through the swarm with impossible precision. I'm trying, Admiral, but these things, they're adapting to our movements. Dr. Tanaka's voice cut through the chaos, tinged with both fear and fascination. Remarkable. They seem to be manifestations of the universe's own self-preservation instinct. A cosmic immune system, if you will. That's great and all, Doc, Orion shouted over the blaring alarms. But how do we stop them from turning us into space dust? As if in answer, a particularly violent impact rocked the ship, sending sparks cascading from overloaded systems. Hull integrity at 43% and falling. Xyrix reported, its synthetic voice strained. Admiral, we cannot sustain this level of damage. Aloan's mind raced. They were so close, yet the Nexus remained frustratingly out of reach. We need a distraction, she muttered. Then, louder, Xyrix, can you project false sensor readings? Make it seem like we're in multiple locations at once? There was a brief pause before the AI responded. Affirmative, Admiral, but it will require significant power diversion from other systems. Do it, Aloan commanded. Colonel, on my mark, punch us through their formation. Dr. Tanaka, be ready with the cosmic reverberation engine. This might be our only shot. As Xyrix implemented the deception, the swarm of cosmic antibodies seemed to falter, splitting off to chase phantom targets. For a brief, heart-stopping moment, a clear path to the Nexus opened up before them. Now, Aloan shouted. Colonel Stormborn slammed the controls forward, and the stellar sentry leapt ahead, engines screaming in protest. They hurtled towards the pulsating heart of the universe, the swarm quickly realizing their mistake and converging on their position. We're not going to make it, Zephyr yelled, her knuckles white on the helm. Suddenly, Orion's manic laugh cut through the tension. Oh yes, we are. Hang on to your butts, folks. Before anyone could react, he slammed his palm down on a jury-rigged button. The ship lurched violently, and then they were through. The stellar sentry hung suspended in the impossible space surrounding the cosmic nexus. The swarm of antibodies held at bay by some unseen force. What did you do? Dr. Tanaka asked, staring at Orion in disbelief. The eccentric scientist grinned, though his eyes betrayed his exhaustion. Oh, you know, just a little trick I cooked up. Temporarily phased us out of sync with base reality. NBD. Aloan allowed herself a small smile. Remind me to commend you for that later, Doctor. For now. She turned her gaze to the view screen, where the cosmic nexus pulsed with otherworldly energy. We have work to do. As they maneuvered closer to the nexus, strange symbols and equations began to scroll across their displays. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened in recognition. This is incredible, he exclaimed. It's the fundamental code of the universe itself, the base equations that govern all of reality. Orion peered over his shoulder, whistling low. Whoa, talk about the mother of all computer programs. Can you make sense of it, Doctor? Aloan asked, her voice tense. Tanaka nodded slowly, his fingers flying across his console. I believe so. It's complex beyond imagination. But there are patterns, rhythms. I think, yes, I can see where the entropy cascade began. So we can stop it? Colonel Stormborn asked, hope creeping into her voice for the first time in what felt like eons. Not stop, Tanaka corrected, but we might be able to reset it. Give the universe a fresh start. Aloan straightened, her decision made. Then let's do it. Begin the activation sequence for the cosmic reverberation engine. As Tanaka and Orion worked feverishly to align their device with the cosmic code, a soft chime from Xyrix caught Aloan's attention. Admiral, the AI said, its voice uncharacteristically hesitant. I've been analyzing the data from the Nexus, and I've discovered something troubling. Aloan frowned. Explain. The entropy cascade. It wasn't a natural occurrence. The code shows signs of deliberate alteration. Someone, or something, intentionally set the universe on a path to destruction. A heavy silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of instruments. But why? Zephyr asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Who would do such a thing? Before anyone could answer, a new alarm blared to life. On the view screen, the swarm of cosmic antibodies had begun to move again, slowly but inexorably closing in on their position. We're out of time, Aloan declared. Dr. Tanaka, or Ian, are we ready? The two scientists exchanged a look, then nodded grimly. As ready as we'll ever be, Admiral, Tanaka confirmed. Aloan took a deep breath, acutely aware that the fate of all existence hung on their next actions. Then let's rewrite the cosmic code. Colonel Stormborn, hold our position. Xyrix, divert all power to the engine. As the final preparations were made, Aloan couldn't shake the gnawing question at the back of her mind. Who had set this all in motion? And would their efforts truly be enough to save the universe? With a silent prayer to whatever forces might be listening, she gave the final command. Activate the cosmic reverberation engine. Let's give the universe its second chance. The bridge was bathed in blinding light as the engine roared to life, its energy intertwining with the very fabric of reality. As the cosmic reset began, Aloan and her crew could only watch and hope that their desperate gambit would be enough to save everything they'd ever known. And in the swirling chaos of unmaking and remaking, a single thought echoed through the void. Who had wanted the universe to die? And would they try again? The cosmic reverberation engine surged with power, its energy intertwining with the fundamental code of the universe. The stellar sentry shuddered violently, straining against forces beyond mortal comprehension. Status report. Admiral Aloan Nixera shouted over the deafening roar of reality being rewritten. Dr. Akira Tanaka's fingers flew across his console, his face illuminated by cascading streams of cosmic data. The reset is initiating, but something's wrong. The entropy cascade is fighting back. On the view screen, they watched in horror as cracks began to form in the fabric of space-time, spreading outward from the cosmic nexus like a spiderweb. No! Orion yelled, his usual exuberance replaced by panic. This can't be happening. We calculated everything perfectly. Colonel Zephyr Stormborn's voice was tight with tension. Could it be those antibodies? Are they interfering somehow? Aloan's mind raced. They were so close, yet the universe itself seemed to be rejecting their efforts. Then, a chilling thought struck her. Xyrix, she called out. You said the entropy cascade was deliberately triggered. Could the same force be actively resisting our attempts to reverse it? The AI's response was tinged with what could almost be described as fear. Affirmative, Admiral. I'm detecting a foreign energy signature intertwined with the cosmic code. It's fighting against the reset. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened in realization. Of course. Whoever set this in motion must have built in safeguards. We're not just battling entropy. We're up against an intelligent, malevolent force. The ship lurched violently, systems overloading as reality buckled around them. Warning klaxons blared, adding to the chaos. Hull integrity critical, Xyrix reported. We're being torn apart at the quantum level. Aloan gripped her chair, her mind working furiously. They couldn't fail now, not when they'd come so far. There has to be a way to overcome this resistance, she muttered. Something we haven't tried? Suddenly, Orion's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with a manic intensity. I've got it, but, oh boy, you're not gonna like it. Spit it out, Doctor. Aloan commanded. Orion took a deep breath. The engine isn't powerful enough to overcome the resistance on its own. But if we were to channel the energy through a living consciousness, use it as a conduit to directly interface with the cosmic code. Dr. Tanaka paled. That's insane. The human mind wasn't meant to process that level of information. It would be tantamount to suicide. Got any better ideas, Doc? Orion shot back. Because in about 2 minutes, we're all going to cease to exist anyway. Colonel Stormborn's voice cut through the argument. I'll do it. All eyes turned to the stoic pilot. Zephyr met their gazes unflinchingly. I joined this mission knowing it might be one way. If this is what it takes to save everything, I'm ready. Aloan felt her heart clench. Zephyr, no. There has to be another way. The colonel smiled sadly. With all due respect, Admiral, there isn't time. And someone needs to pilot this ship out of here once it's done. Before anyone could protest further, another violent tremor rocked the ship. Sparks erupted from overloading consoles, and the lights flickered ominously. It's now or never, Orion shouted. With a grim nod, Aloan made the hardest decision of her long life. Do it. What followed was a blur of frantic activity. Orion and Tanaka worked at lightning speed, jury-rigging connections between the cosmic reverberation engine and the ship's neural interface system. Colonel Stormborn sat calmly in the modified chair, electrodes attached to her temples. As the final preparations were made, Zephyr locked eyes with Aloan. "It's been an honor, Admiral. Tell Earth, tell them we did it." Aloan could only nod, her throat tight with emotion. Initiating neural link in 3, 2, 1. Orion's voice cracked as he activated the system. Colonel Zephyr Stormborn's body went rigid, her back arching as cosmic energy surged through her. Her eyes flew open, blazing with impossible light as her consciousness expanded to encompass the very fabric of reality. On the view screen, they watched in awe as the cracks in space-time began to heal. The malevolent force that had resisted them recoiled, overwhelmed by the sheer force of human will channeled through the engine. "It's working," Dr. Tanaka exclaimed, his voice filled with wonder and sorrow. For what felt like an eternity, Zephyr's body served as the conduit between the ship's technology and the fundamental forces of the universe. Through her, they could feel the cosmic reset taking hold, entropy reversing, timelines reknitting. And then, with a final, blinding flash of light, it was done. The cosmic nexus pulsed once, twice, and then began to fade from view. The swarm of cosmic antibodies dissipated like mist in the morning sun, and on the view screen, they watched in awe as stars began to reignite, galaxies swirling back into existence. But the victory came at a terrible cost. As the energy subsided, Colonel Zephyr Stormborn slumped in the chair, her body still and lifeless. The price of universal rebirth had been paid in full. A heavy silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of instruments and the quiet sobs of the crew. They had done it. The universe had been given its second chance, but the loss felt overwhelming. Aloan stood, her face a mask of grief and determination. "Xyrix, plot a course for Earth. It's time to go home." As the stellar sentry limped away from the fading cosmic nexus, Aloan gazed at the renewed universe sprawling before them. They had saved everything, but the question still burned in her mind. Who had tried to end it all? And would they try again? With a heavy heart and a renewed sense of purpose, Admiral Aloan Nixera led her battered ship and grieving crew back towards the tiny blue planet that had given birth to their salvation. The universe had been reborn, but their mission, she realized, was far from over. The stellar sentry emerged from the swirling vortex of hyperspace, Earth's familiar blue orb growing larger in the view screen. Admiral Aloan Nixera stood at the helm, her posture rigid, her eyes reflecting the weight of their journey and the loss they had endured. "Home," Dr. Akira Tanaka whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "We actually made it back." Orion, uncharacteristically subdued, nodded silently. The empty seat where Colonel Zephyr Stormborn should have been seemed to echo with her absence. As they approached Earth's orbit, Xyrix's voice broke the somber silence. "Admiral, I'm detecting significant temporal discrepancies. It appears that while only weeks have passed for us, nearly a century has elapsed on Earth." Aloan's breath caught in her throat. "A century? But how?" Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew across his console. "The cosmic reset," he murmured. "It must have affected different regions of space-time at varying rates. For Earth, protected by its temporal bubble, the changes occurred more gradually." "We're being hailed," Xyrix announced. It's the Cosmic Defense Initiative." Aloan straightened her uniform, steeling herself. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing not Dr. Zarakuri, but a young woman with strikingly familiar features. Her eyes widened as she took in the sight of the Stellar Sentry's bridge crew. "By the stars," she breathed. "It's really you. The Lost Expedition. I'm Dr. Lyra Kurichan, great-granddaughter of Dr. Zarakuri. We never stopped hoping you'd return." Aloan swallowed hard, the full impact of their temporal displacement hitting her. "Dr. Kurichan, we have much to report. The mission was a success, but at great cost." Lyra nodded solemnly. "We know. We've been monitoring the changes in the cosmic background radiation. The universe, it's healing. You did it. Please, dock at our orbital station. There's so much to discuss." As the stellar sentry maneuvered towards the sleek, futuristic space station, Aloan couldn't help but marvel at how much had changed. Earth's orbital space was bustling with activity, ships of designs she'd never seen before zipping between gleaming structures. Once docked, the crew was escorted to a grand conference room overlooking the Earth. Holographic displays showed a universe teeming with renewed life and energy. It was breathtaking. Dr. Kurichan, along with a diverse group of scientists and officials, listened intently as Aloan recounted their harrowing journey. When she spoke of Colonel Stormborn's sacrifice, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. "Her bravery saved us all," Lyra said softly. "We'll make sure her name is remembered for generations to come." But as the debriefing continued, Aloan couldn't shake the nagging question that had haunted her since the cosmic nexus. "Dr. Kurichan," she began hesitantly, "during our mission, we discovered that the entropy cascade wasn't a natural occurrence. It was triggered intentionally. In the century since we left, have you uncovered any information about who might have wanted to end the universe?" A hush fell over the room. Lyra exchanged glances with her colleagues before responding. "We've had our suspicions," she said carefully. "As we've expanded into the renewed cosmos, we've found traces, remnants of incredibly advanced civilizations that seem to have simply given up, abandoned their worlds, their legacies." She gestured to a holographic star map. "We call them the Fadeaway. We don't know much about them, but we believe they had achieved a level of technological and cultural advancement so profound that they saw no further purpose in existence. Rather than simply ending themselves, they chose to end everything." Aloan felt a chill run down her spine. But why? How could any being decide to end all of creation? An older scientist spoke up, his voice gravelly with age. Perhaps they thought they were being merciful, ending all suffering by ending all existence. Or maybe they simply couldn't conceive of the possibility that less advanced species might one day surpass them. Whatever their reasoning, Lyra continued, your mission didn't just reset the universe. It sent a message, a declaration that life, in all its messy, chaotic, beautiful forms, is worth preserving, worth fighting for. Orion, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly perked up. So what you're saying is, we basically told an entire race of cosmic party poopers to shove off? Awesome. Despite the gravity of the situation, a ripple of laughter spread through the room. Aloan felt a smile tugging at her lips for the first time in what felt like eons. So what happens now? Dr. Tanaka asked, voicing the question on everyone's minds. Lyra's expression grew serious once more. Now, we prepare. The universe has been given a second chance, but the threat of the fadeaway remains. We need to be ready, should they or any force like them try again. She turned to Aloan, her eyes blazing with determination. Admiral Nixera, your crew has done more for the cosmos than anyone in history, but I fear your mission isn't over. We need your knowledge, your experience. Will you help us defend existence itself? Aloan looked at her crew, Orion's manic grin, Tanaka's quiet resolve, and the empty space where Zephyr should have been. She thought of all they had sacrificed, all they had endured, and she knew there was only one answer. Dr. Kurichan, she said, standing tall, the Stellar Sentry and her crew are at your disposal. Whatever comes next, humanity won't face it alone. As the room erupted in applause, Aloan gazed out at the earth below, marveling at the resilience of the human spirit. They had faced the end of everything and emerged victorious. Now, they would stand as guardians of a renewed cosmos, a testament to the indomitable will of life itself. The universe had been given its second chance, and this time, they would make it count. In the vastness of the reborn cosmos, stars pulsed with renewed energy. On countless worlds, life stirred and evolved, blissfully unaware of how close it had all come to ending. And somewhere in the great beyond, the faintest whisper of a question lingered. What would humanity do with their hard-won eternity? Only time, endless, renewed time, would tell.